Okay, so now I'm in the process of hemming the sides and preparing the sides, getting ready to hem. And what I really do, look here, goodbye. As you can see, I have my fabric laid out on my bed. And I use my bed to sew for one of two reasons. The first reason, because I don't want to sew on the floor, and I don't have a big enough sewing table to lay out all my fabric on. And the second reason is because I found that with my comforter, I can take pins and stick it down in the side of my pattern piece and the fabric so that as I'm cutting, it won't move. So that's pretty cool to me. I know it's kind of weird, but it's pretty cool to me. And I have the fabric laid out pretty sides together, which means this is the front of the fabric. This is the part that's going to be showing. And it's on the outside is the inside, which kind of sounds confusing, but you get what I mean. And this side is the fold of the fabric over here. And this is in sewing terms called the selvage, which is the unfolded side. And I have here, as you can see, my pattern piece laid out, and I do have pins in the corner so that as I cut it won't move. And I use old newspaper to make my patterns. I take a shirt that fits me really well, and I just kind of trace out the part that I want my dress to be. And if you guys want me to, I can do a tutorial on how I make my pattern pieces out of newspaper, and I can show you how to do sleeves, bodice pieces, skirt pieces, or whatever. So let me know if you want me to do. So as you can see, I cut out the top portion, the one shoulder portion of the dress. And it's two pieces, the front and the back piece. And I have them pinned together so that when I'm ready to sew, it's already in place. And I don't think I gave you a rundown of the fabric. I'm sorry, guys. These first couple of videos are going to be a little bit ghetto because I'm learning as I go. So basically, I got this fabric from Walmart, which shocked me. Walmart is like definitely coming up on their fabric types. I thought this was really pretty. And it's a four-way stretch fabric, meaning that it stretches this way and this way. So most of the time you're going to have a fabric that stretches maybe one way, which is usually this way. And you always want to sew with it stretching to the side, because if you don't, you won't be able to get into the dress. It's not going to move as you're trying to get it on. So, but this fabric is like the easiest. I can't really say easiest to use because it just all depends on, your skill in sewing, because it is a little bit more flimsy. So it's going to move as you sew. So that might actually make it a little bit harder if you're just learning how to sew. But to me, it's the best to use for sizing because it's easy to get into, and it pretty much molds to your body shape. So here is the piece that I cut out with the pattern piece. And you always want to leave at least, I use probably a half inch, but you can use 5/8 of an inch, which is standard. You want to leave around the sides as seam allowance. And the reason why you want to do that is because as you sew, your outfit is going to get at least a half an inch or 5/8 of an inch smaller because you have to sew around the sides. And that's going to make it a little bit smaller. So you have to leave that extra space for you to actually sew. So I have my skirt laid out that I'm going to use as a pattern piece to make the bottom of the dress. And I like this skirt. I think it fits me really well. I've never actually worn the skirt, but it has a great shape to it that I want to use. And I usually always use this skirt when I'm making any type of skirts or dresses or anything. And I have it laid out here on my fabric. Again, as you guys know, pretty sides together, and this is the fold, which doesn't really matter right now because of the way I'm going to cut it out, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. I have my tape measure laid out on the side, and I have this dress at about 53 inches because I want it to be really long, and even if I wear heels, I want it to be long and kind of, have that little train room, just a tad bit, not too much. And then I have tailor's chalk here, which I'm not actually going to use, but if you guys want to, it's great to use if you're beginning to sew, so you can trace out the seam allowance and the side of the dress so that you won't mess up. I eyeball it because I pretty much know how I want it to go. And I also cut out half of it and then I fold it over and then cut out the other half so I can make sure that both sides of my dress are actually even. So as you can see, I cut one half of the bottom portion of the dress out and I have it folded over and pinned down. So now I can cut out the second side of the dress. So that way it'll be even on both sides. And I'll show you what it looks like cut out. Okay guys, so this is the top of the dress and here is the bottom of the dress, and I have the sides pinned together so I can move it over to the sewing table and get ready to sew. And what you want to do now is you want to sew on the sides. So you're going to sew this side here, your top strap, and this side, and then you want to sew all the way down on both sides of the skirt. And after that, I will show you the next step. Okay, so I have sewn all of the sides together. As you can see, I've sewn this side down, the top of the strap down. And also I've sewn the sides of the dress down. And unfortunately at this point I do not have a serger, so it doesn't give it that professional finish on the inside. Hey Kaden.
Hey Mama.
But what I usually do is I take scissors and I just cut as close as I can to the sewed part, so that way it gives it a little bit more of a professional finish on the inside. So I'm going to do that, and the next step is going to be to sew the sides down, and I'll show you how I do that in a second. Okay, so this is the top of the dress, and now I'm in the process of hemming the sides. So we're actually getting ready to hem the sides, because what I do is I fold the fabric over twice. So I fold it over once. Sorry, please y'all excuse my ratchet nails. I need to get them done. And then I fold it over again and then pin the sides down, and that's how I sew it. So I already have this part pinned, and now I just have to go all around the front and the back side of the top piece, and also the armholes, because I'm not going to add sleeves. If I was going to add sleeves, I wouldn't have to hem that part, but since this is a summer dress, I'm not going to add sleeves to it. Okay, so I have pinned the hem side down, and like I said, I folded it over twice and then pinned it down. And guys, pinning is very, very, very crucial. I don't always pin, but when I hem, I definitely do pin, because it really does help keep the fabric in place while you're sewing, and you want to make sure that the hem is perfect on the sides of the dress. And I also hem the bottom of the dress, the bottom of the skirt, and I'm gonna go and sew that down and show you how that looks. And I also pin the armhole as well. Now if you guys want me to show you the specifics of sewing, like me actually sitting at the sewing table and giving you my tips and tricks on how to sew, leave a comment below and let me know. Okay guys, so this is what the top and bottom of the dress look like. I flipped it on right sides out so you can actually see how it looks now that the sides are joined and the bottom and the sides are hemmed. And the only part left to show you is going to be the last part, where I attach the top and the bottom, and that will be it. Okay, so here is the part where I attach the top and the bottom piece of the dress together, and I'm going to try to go slow so this makes sense and so you understand what I mean. So I have the bottom of the dress flipped pretty sides out, which is the side you see when you're wearing the dress, and then I have the top of the dress, sorry, I'm going to turn my camera sideways. I have the top of the dress flipped inside out, and then what I'm going to do is match the side seams. So you want to match where you sewed on the sides at the top and the bottom of the dress, so it can actually look like it's flowing perfectly downward. And I want to match that side as well and place pins. And then you want to put pins around where they're joined at, and then you're just going to sew around. And make sure you have the top inside out and the bottom right side facing you, because if you don't, you're going to have one part inside out and one part right side out, and then it's going to be a mess. And so I'll show you how it looks after I sew around the middle portion. Okay, so you can see here where I had pins, I've sewn around the front and the back of the dress and connected it at the middle. So when you flip the top of the dress out, you now have one full dress. And now I will show you how it looks on the mannequin, and that is the finished product. Okay guys, so this is the finished product. I have my dress here on the mannequin, and you can see how it looks from top to bottom. I think it's a very pretty spring or summer dress, and I actually am going to be debuting the look in my fashion show on May 9th in Florence at the City Grill, and this is going to be part of my Summer Days collection. So if you have any questions or if I left anything out in the tutorial, please let me know. I will answer all of your questions if you leave comments in the comment box, and I will also add additional information about the dress as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I will have a new tutorial up for you soon.